Continuing to follow that story, the tragic killing of 19 children and 2 teachers in Uvalde, Texas. And new this morning, the bombshell accusations that police waited too long to respond to stop the killing. We're going to have more on that in just a moment. But first, as a memorial grows for the victims, the director of public safety says the gunman was inside Robb Elementary for nearly an hour. The Uvalde community is in grief and shock and angry. There are reports that some parents wanted to rush the campus, saying when they arrived, police were still inside. There are a lot of emotions, and our job at News Nation is to tell you all of the facts, but clearly this is an agonizing time of mourning. The coroner still hasn't identified all of the bodies. On your screen right now, just some of the children and those teachers gunned down in cold blood on Tuesday. A tragedy like this always awakens the need to investigate school safety. Campuses across the country are reevaluating their best practices and teacher training and making changes to make it safer for students and staff. We do have everything covered for you right now. We start with our senior national correspondent, Brian Enton, live with the latest on this investigation. Brian?
Adrian, this morning, there is now a focus on the law enforcement response, specifically the officers who got to the scene immediately. Did they go into the school fast enough? I have learned this morning that a school police officer will be interviewed today or very, very soon. They are trying to find out whether that officer was inside the school, whether that officer was inside a car, or just in the vicinity of the area when the massacre started. A father of a 4th grader who was killed says he wanted to charge into the school with other bystanders because he was frustrated with the police response. Police say between 40 minutes to an hour passed from when the first shots were fired to when a tactical team killed the gunman. One law enforcement official says police struggled to break open the classroom door and had to use a key to enter the classroom.
These agents and these DPS troopers started smashing the windows and pulling children and teachers out of these windows.
Police still have not given a concrete timeline of how the gunman was in the school or when he was killed.
We're still trying to determine all those details, as well as trying to determine actually how he was able to make entry, exactly where the shootings took place. As I mentioned, it's still active. They are heroes because this is an active shooter situation.
This morning, a new timeline is unfolding on social media. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says there were warning signs on social media starting 30 minutes before the attack. The shooter allegedly told a girl in Germany, quote, "I'm going to shoot my grandmother," and "I shot my grandmother." And this final message, "I'm going to shoot an elementary school." The shooter's grandfather says he didn't expect this and didn't even know his grandson had a gun. I want to show you, Adrian, outside Robb Elementary School this morning. There are now 21 crosses that have been placed outside the school, of course, to represent the 19 4th graders who were brutally murdered inside the building and their 2 teachers. All of them, we have learned, were inside just one classroom. Also new this morning, Adrian, we have learned a little more about the timeline. We know that the shooter first shot his grandmother in the face. 911 was called. He got in a car, drove here to the elementary school, crashed, went in a back door of the elementary school, down a hallway, and that is when the massacre started. Adrian?
I have a couple questions for you, because you just mentioned the grandmother being shot in the face. Do we know the grandmother survived, right? She's being treated at a hospital?
She survived. Initially, the reports were that she was in critical condition, but yesterday, her husband, the shooter's grandfather, told us that he believes her condition has improved somewhat.
After being shot in the face. Terrible. And I know there are a lot of questions about whether police should have gone in sooner. Are there policies in place that say when police should go in during an active shooter situation?
Yeah, and I want to emphasize, this is all still so fresh. The investigation is just starting, but the policies nationwide when it comes to active shooters are clear. They changed after Columbine. Officers are told to immediately go in and engage an active shooter immediately, to not wait any time, not wait at all, to not stage outside the school, to go in immediately. So it is certainly going to be very interesting when they nail down this timeline and we find out how long it took for the officers here to go inside the building.
Obviously, there are a lot of people who just want to have some sense of closure, but very difficult to do in a situation like this. Brian, thank you so much.